Some polling ahead of the 2020 and 2021 elections did not accurately predict outcomes of some hotly contested races, raising questions about how reliable political polls will be heading into next year's midterm elections. Just last month, polls predicted New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy would easily beat Republican challenger Jack Ciattarelli. It turned out to be an extremely tight race. The Wall Street Journal announced it's making major shifts to its political polling ahead of the midterms, saying it will move forward without assistance from any other media and bringing in pollsters from President Biden and former President Trump's presidential campaigns. Kabir Khana is Deputy Director of CBS News, Elections and Data Analytics, and he's with me now to dive further into election polling. Hi there, Kabir. Good to see you again. So, first of all, what are the major problems that led to inaccurate election polling over the past couple of years?
Hi, Elaine. Thanks for having me on to discuss this. I think I tend to take a little bit more of a glass half full view of polling in general. I think it's kind of amazing that you can sample 1,000 people in the country and get a fairly accurate picture of their opinions or the state of a race. However, what you said up top is true. Particularly in 2020, polling was less accurate for state elections in the national election than it has been in recent history. There are several issues that make election polling complicated and challenging. For one, election polling is trying to measure a population that doesn't exist yet. When polls are done before the election, they're trying to characterize the views of voters without knowing exactly who is going to turn out to vote in the upcoming election. So turnout modeling, estimating just who that group is a really challenging part and often why polls aren't perfectly accurate before the election. Another important issue that we've been seeing in recent years was discussed in a recent postmortem that was done on the 2020 election polls, and that's the issue of differential non-response. That's a technical term for when, let's say, one party is more excited to participate in polls and opts into polls more than another. And in recent years, it does look like Democrats have been opting into surveys and polls more than Republicans have, and that the usual strategies for weighting those polls to make sure that they're representative demographically doesn't always correct those partisan imbalances. So what we see is that surveys that take extra care to make sure the partisan balance of their samples is correct tend to do better. And that's something that we try to do at CBS. But that's also hard because there aren't always known benchmarks for just how many people of each party should be in the sample. But those are a couple of issues that we've seen in recent years and that pollsters are working on improving.
So you mentioned the postmortem after the 2020 election. Have there been any significant local or national postmortems done by pollsters after last month's elections?
The 2020 postmortem was done by the Pollster Trade Association, known as APOR. There hasn't been such a report on the 2021 off-year elections yet, but there have been analyses about what happened with the polls there. There were two high-profile gubernatorial races last month, one in Virginia, one in New Jersey. The polling in the Virginia governor's race was highly accurate, and the polls that came out just before the election pretty much nailed the final result, which was a narrow Republican victory. I think really importantly, they also really illustrated the contours of the campaign and the campaign dynamics, both the tightening race and the Republican momentum in the final stretch, as well as some of the issues that were really driving that race, such as education among Virginia voters. In New Jersey, the story was slightly different. The polling there basically unanimously had the correct winner, which was the incumbent Phil Murphy. However, the polling tended to overstate his margin of victory. The reasons for why that happened aren't totally clear, but a couple of things are likely culprits. One is that there was sky-high turnout in Republican parts of New Jersey, for example, in Ocean County and Cape May, that the polling did not pick up on. This is, again, the problem with turnout modeling. And then I suspect that some of the issues that were at play in 2020, like partisan patterns of non-response, were also at play again in New Jersey this past year.
Interesting. Well, making calls to landlines was once one of the main ways polls used to be conducted. Now those landlines are disappearing and people are not always willing to pick up an unknown number on their cells. So what does polling look like now compared to, say, 5 years ago?
That's a great question. And one of the common misconceptions about polling today is that it's still predominantly done on landlines, which actually hasn't been true for many years. But still, as you say, even though pollsters call people on their cell phones, that doesn't necessarily mean the person's going to pick up. What we actually saw in 2020 was that the majority of the pre-election polls were actually done online. So about 6 in 10 of those polls were done online. And that was actually a big increase from what we saw even in 2016, when many polls were done online. But that's been a trend over the last few years. I think what's important is that survey researchers and pollsters use methods of data collection that meet people where they are and that communicate with them in the ways they want to be communicated with. So online surveys is one way for people that are online. Another method we've seen increasing use of is text to web. So that's where you text someone and ask them, hey, would you be interested in doing a quick survey? And they get a link to an online page. Another method actually is for people who aren't online very much. In a lot of parts of the country, especially in rural areas, people are online less. And so you even see people being contacted by mail and given paper and pencil surveys to fill out. And then the final thing I'll say on this is that there's been an increasing movement towards mixed methods. So a single survey using, let's say, phone and online, or online and mail, to reach different types of respondents and make sure that you're getting people with lots of different types of demographic profiles and lifestyles into your sample to paint a complete picture of the population.
So it sounds like, Kabir, pollsters are always adapting and trying to figure out what mixture of tools might be most effective, because I think for the broader public out there, they may not always understand the ins and outs, but it sounds as though there really are a variety of techniques that are being explored every single time polling is conducted.
That's exactly right. The message I want people to take away is that there's great diversity within the field, and exactly what you just said, the field is always innovating and always adapting to changing environments. Back in the day, in the days of George Gallup, face-to-face interviewing was very common and kind of the main way people took surveys. In this day and age, you don't see that anymore. There was a move towards phone, there's been a move towards online polling more recently, and as I said, mixed methods. The other big change in recent years is using auxiliary sources of data to complement survey data, using big data. So you see increasing use of census data to make sure that surveys are representative along racial lines, age groups, gender. And you also see increasing use of administrative data and voter files, for example, to make sure that you're reaching different types of voters within the country or within the state. And those data sets are very rich and granular and complement the traditional survey data that we've used. So here at CBS News, when we are polling the 2022 midterms, you'll see us use a combination of surveys, voter file data, census data, and statistical models to estimate the state of the race and to tell you what's important to voters and what's driving the decisions.
All right, so helpful to understand the different methodologies and techniques and data gathering tools available. It really is just an ever-evolving field. Kabir Khana, always good to see you. Kabir, thanks very much.
Good to see you. Thank you.